The Republic 2 project in Trinidad and Tobago was a $50 million facility where we helped the bank purchase a bank in Barbados called Barbados National Bank. The purpose of this was to allow the bank to expand, diversify its risks, while also introducing to the local bank better management, efficiencies, economies of scale, and access to information systems from the larger Republic Bank. I should highlight that it was a privatization, which also added a lot of developmental returns for both countries and for the region. One challenge that we had, and I say we meaning as IFC, I was involved in the later stages, this was a leveraged transaction where Republic financed its purchase with over $100 million in debt. At that time, it was difficult, I think, to structure such a privatization financing with purely debt. So going through the approvals, and the team did a good job of explaining and to substantiate the transaction. But I would say that was one of the larger challenges faced by the team at the outset.
There were no main obstacles to the project, but there were two main issues discussed. One was why they were funding this through debt, this acquisition mainly. And the reason it was done is like this is because they did not need capital at that time. They were very strongly capitalized, and also they had the capacity to repay this debt very easily. So finally, the main way to do it for them, it was through debt. So that's why they came to IFC, asking for long-term debt, and because it will allow them to have that long-term funding and not to have to pay everything through short-term lines.
The project achieved, I think, several things that are noteworthy. For one, it was a repeat client, so we had done one previous transaction and have since done another, so this was a good example of serving the client's needs. As IFC, we serve the benefit of having the developmental impact of, number one, giving the purchasing bank diversification, where now 35% of its business comes from outside of Trinidad. On the local level, as I mentioned earlier, the Barbados Bank became a much better bank. It increased its market share, it revamped some of its marketing practices and products. So that added, I think, to the overall financial sector in Barbados, in Trinidad, and I would say for the region.
So the biggest achievements of this project was first on the business side of it. This allowed Republic Bank to have very good financial performance after the acquisition of BNB. And the other one is how did it impact BNB? The acquisition by Republic Bank, it allowed BNB to increase its efficiency, their processes, improve their products. So in fact, it had really generated a lot of very good results on the bank, and then that showed in a very good financial results.
The key lessons learned, I think for me, one of them is a bit self-critical from the IFC perspective, because we learned that we needed probably a stronger commitment from the outset on the environmental compliance. And having been a repeat client, we actually had probably a couple of other opportunities to address that, which we could have done better. I think the rotation of staff turnover was also important in preventing us from doing a better supervision. Despite the good work that was done, I think we could have improved on that. And looking at it overall, and as what IFC can deliver in a situation of a privatization with a broader package and advisory services, I think we could have done something even more impactful.
I think one of the key lessons is that you have to ensure the commitment of the sponsor when you're doing the project, and ensure that there's not a disconnect between what the client is looking for from the relationship and what IFC is looking for. The second one is on IFC's role, being a fund provider versus having value added. In the case of Republic, the idea was to have a package that would include debt and also to help with the negotiations with the government of Barbados. In the reality, that didn't happen, and really the role of IFC was really to provide the funds. So I think it's really important that we to be able to bring a global package with fund and technical assistance that really brings the value added of IFC in the projects. And the third one that I would say is related to the supervision. That is important to have a close relationship, a close supervision, a relationship with the client to ensure good relationship with long-term relationship with the client. In the case of IFC, there were changes of portfolio officers, so it didn't allow to really build a relationship with the client, and also it didn't help the supervision of IFC projects.